The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly around their small ship, broken only by the distant pinpoints of starlight and the fading engine trails of the fleet ahead. Inside the vessel, Ella's skin glowed a soft blue with worry as she watched her young daughter Luna sleep in the makeshift bed they'd created in the ship's small control room. The Brightfolk fleet had been traveling for 3 months now, running from the resource wars that had torn their home system apart. Their people's natural bioluminescence, once a source of beauty and pride, had become dim and muted across the entire refugee fleet, a visible sign of their collective despair. Ella's ship had been having engine troubles for the past week. She tried her best to keep up with the fleet, pushing the aging engines beyond their limits, but each passing day saw them falling further and further behind. The rest of the fleet's lights were now barely visible in the distance, like fading stars about to disappear forever. The ship's communication system crackled to life, making Ella jump. The fleet commander's stern voice filled the small cabin. "Vessel E-247, your speed continues to decrease. You're creating a vulnerability in our evacuation formation. Please," Ella responded, her skin flickering with desperation. "We just need a few more days to repair the engines. Luna is too young to handle any more strain on our life support systems." There was a long pause before the commander spoke again. "The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. We can't risk the safety of the entire fleet for one malfunctioning ship." His voice grew colder. "You have become a liability." Ella's glow pulsed with fear. "Commander, please. We have a child aboard." "Which is exactly why you should understand. There are hundreds of children in this fleet. I cannot risk their safety." The commander's tone left no room for argument. "May the eternal light guide you. Fleet, adjust course bearing 2-74. Maintain speed." "No, wait," Ella cried out, but the communication line went dead. Through the viewport, she watched in horror as the fleet's formation shifted. The distant lights of the other ships began to turn away, their new course taking them in a different direction. Tears rolled down Ella's cheeks as her skin dimmed to a pale gray of despair. A small voice behind her made her quickly wipe away her tears. "Mother, why are the other ships leaving?" Luna had woken up and was floating near her sleeping pod, her small form glowing with a child's naturally bright purple hue. Her large, silver eyes reflected the now distant lights of the fleet. Ella pushed off the wall to float over to her daughter, pulling her into a gentle embrace. "Don't worry, little star. They just need to take a different path for a while." She forced her skin to brighten, not wanting her daughter to see her fear. Luna pressed her face against her mother's shoulder. "But why can't we go with them?" "Our ship needs some special attention," Ella explained, trying to keep her voice steady. "Like when you were sick last year and needed to stay home from school, remember?" Luna nodded, her glow shifting to a curious yellow. "Will we catch up with them later?" Ella looked out at the now empty space around them, her heart heavy with the knowledge that their situation was dire. The ship's engines were failing, life support was limited, and they were stranded in an unknown sector of space. But she couldn't let her daughter see her despair. "Of course we will," she lied, her skin brightening with forced optimism. "But first, we need to be brave and fix our ship. Would you like to help me check the engine readings?" Luna's face lit up, quite literally, her skin glowing brighter with excitement. "Can I press the buttons?" "Some of them." Ella smiled, guiding her daughter to the control panel. As Luna happily began learning about the ship's systems, Ella's glow dimmed behind her daughter's back. She had no idea how they would survive, but she had to try. For Luna, she had to find a way. In the quiet of space, their small ship drifted alone, its fading lights the only sign of life in the endless dark. The war they'd fled was now the least of their concerns. Survival had become their only mission, and time was running out. 3 days had passed since the fleet left them behind. Ella sat at the ship's control panel, her fingers moving quickly across the screens as she shut down another section of their small vessel. The ship's power was running dangerously low, and she had already turned off everything they didn't absolutely need to survive. "Mother." Luna's voice came from their sleeping area, weaker than usual. "I'm cold again." Ella's heart sank as she turned to look at her daughter. Luna's usual bright glow had faded to a dull purple, and she was wrapped in all the blankets they had. The environmental controls were failing, making the ship's temperature drop steadily. "Come here, little star," Ella said, opening her arms. Luna floated over, dragging her favorite blanket with her. As soon as she reached her mother, Ella noticed how Luna's skin felt cooler than it should. Bright folk needed warmth to maintain their natural glow and health. "Why don't we play the light game?" Ella suggested, trying to keep her voice cheerful. The light game was an old bright folk tradition, where they created patterns with their natural glow. It would help keep Luna's mind off their situation, and the act of glowing might warm her up a little. Luna nodded weakly. "Can you make the dancing stars pattern?" Ella concentrated, making her skin pulse with waves of light that moved from her fingers up her arms, creating the illusion of starlight dancing across her body. Usually, Luna would laugh and try to copy the pattern, but today she just watched, her own glow barely flickering in response. A warning beep from the control panel interrupted their game. Ella quickly checked the readings and had to force herself not to show her fear. The oxygen recyclers were starting to fail. "Luna, sweetie, why don't you try to take a nap?" she suggested, helping her daughter back to the sleeping pod. "I need to send out another message for help." Once Luna was settled, Ella returned to the controls. She had been sending out distress signals every few hours, hoping someone would hear them. So far, there had been nothing but silence in return. She pressed the broadcast button again. "This is vessel E-247 of the Bright Folk Refugee Fleet. We have a child aboard and are in need of immediate assistance. Our life support systems are failing. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help." The message went out into the empty space around them, and Ella waited, hoping desperately for a response. Only the quiet hum of the failing engines answered her. She checked their remaining supplies. They had enough food concentrate for maybe 2 more weeks, but without proper life support, that wouldn't matter. The temperature would continue to drop, and the oxygen would run out much sooner. A small cough from Luna made Ella's skin flash with worry. She floated back to check on her daughter, and found her shivering despite all the blankets. "Mother," Luna whispered, her silver eyes looking unusually dull. "I had a dream about home. About the light gardens where we used to play." Ella lay down next to her daughter, wrapping her arms around her to share warmth. "Tell me about your dream, little star." "The flowers were all glowing, like they used to in the spring," Luna said softly. "And the light birds were dancing in the sky." Her voice grew quieter. "Do you think we'll ever see the light gardens again?" "Of course we will," Ella said, using all her strength to make her skin glow brightly and warmly for her daughter. "And when we do, we'll have new stories to tell about our adventure in space." Luna smiled weakly, her own glow brightening just a tiny bit. "Promise." "I promise," Ella whispered, holding her daughter close as Luna drifted off to sleep. Only then did she allow her own glow to dim, showing the fear she had been hiding. In the ship's small viewport, distant stars twinkled indifferently. Ella watched them through tears, wondering which one might bring help, and which might be the last light she and Luna had ever saw. The ship's systems continued to beep their warnings, counting down the hours they had left. But somewhere in that vast darkness, though Ella didn't know it yet, hope was about to appear in the most unexpected form. A human ship called the Horizon, and its captain who was about to change everything. Captain Tom Reed sat in his chair on the bridge of the research vessel Horizon, sipping his morning coffee and reviewing star charts. The small human ship was on its usual mission, exploring the edges of known space and collecting data about distant star systems. The quiet of his morning routine was interrupted by an urgent beeping from the communication console. "Captain," called out his ship's eye, I'm detecting a distress signal. It's very weak, but it's there." Tom put down his coffee and moved to the console. "Play it." The message crackled through the speakers, broken and faint. "Vessel E-247. Child aboard. Life support failing. Please. Need help." "How far?" Tom asked, already reaching for the ship's controls. "Approximately 6 hours at maximum speed," the AI responded. "But Captain, regulations require verification of the source before attempting rescue. This signal is using an unknown format. The ship could belong to a hostile species." Tom frowned at the screen. He knew the rules. Unknown ships could be pirates or worse. But something in that voice, its desperate tone, struck him deeply. "Show me the visual feed." The screen flickered to life, showing a small ship drifting in space. Its design was unlike anything he'd seen before, with smooth curves that seemed to flow like water frozen in space. But what caught his attention were the faint glows visible through its viewports, lights that pulsed like heartbeats. "Plot the course," he ordered. "We're going to help them." "Captain," the AI warned, "this could be a violation of." "Note in the log that I'm overriding safety protocols," Tom interrupted. "Someone needs help. That's all I need to know." The Horizon changed course, its engines pushing to maximum speed. As they got closer, Tom used the ship's sensors to scan the alien vessel. The readings made his heart sink. Their life support was indeed failing, and their power levels were critically low. 6 hours later, the Horizon pulled alongside the alien ship. Tom got his first clear view of its occupants through the viewport, and his breath caught in his throat. 2 beings unlike any he'd ever seen were inside. Their skin seemed to glow with its own light, though the larger one's glow was very dim. The smaller one wasn't moving. "Broadcast on all frequencies," Tom ordered. "This is Captain Tom Reed of the Earth research vessel Horizon. We're here to help." Inside their ship, Ella jerked awake at the sound of a voice coming through their nearly dead communication system. She stared in shock at the strange ship outside their viewport. Its design was completely foreign, all sharp angles and practical lines, so different from the flowing shapes of bright folk ships. "Luna," she whispered, gently shaking her daughter. "Luna, wake up." Someone came. Luna's eyes fluttered open, her glow so faint now it was barely visible. She looked at the ship outside and managed a weak smile. "It's so different looking," she whispered. Tom's voice came through again. "We're going to help you. Can you understand me?" Ella rushed to the control panel, her hands shaking as she activated their universal translator. "Yes," she responded, her voice breaking with emotion. "Yes, we can understand you. Please help us." "My daughter." "I'm sending over a scan pattern," Tom said calmly. "It will help us figure out how to get you aboard safely." As the scan ran, Ella saw a figure appear in the other ship's viewport. It was unlike anything she'd ever seen. No glow at all, covered in some kind of uniform, with strange coloring she'd never seen on any intelligent being. A human. "Try not to be afraid," Tom said, seeing her reaction. "I know I must look strange to you, but I promise we're here to help." Luna pressed her face against the viewport, looking at the human with weak curiosity. "Mother," she whispered, "why doesn't he glow?" "I don't know, little star," Ella replied, her own glow brightening slightly with hope for the first time in days. "But he came to save us, and that's all that matters." Outside, Tom was already planning the rescue, his mind racing through the challenges ahead. But one look at the dying lights within the alien ship told him they had no time to waste. Whatever the regulations said, whatever the risks, he knew he had made the right choice. The Horizon's floodlights illuminated both ships in the darkness of space, a beacon of hope for the stranded mother and daughter who had almost given up hope of survival. The next hour was crucial. Tom stood at the Horizon's main viewport, his mind working quickly as he studied the alien ship's structure. Behind him, his ship's medical bay was being prepared for visitors whose biology they knew nothing about. "The scan results are complete, Captain," the ship's AI announced. Their atmosphere is similar to ours, but richer in nitrogen. Their body temperature appears higher than human normal. Most concerning is the child's weakening life signs. Tom pressed the communication button. Ella, I need you to listen carefully. Your ship's structure won't let us dock directly. We'll have to try something else. Inside their ship, Ella held Luna close as she listened. Her daughter's skin was now barely glowing at all, and her breathing had become shallow. What do you suggest? Ella asked, trying to keep the fear from her voice. We have space suits, Tom explained. I think we can modify them to fit you. It's risky, but it's our best chance. He paused, then added softly, Your daughter doesn't have much time left. Ella looked down at Luna, who was drifting in and out of consciousness. Everything in her culture warned against trusting strangers, especially alien ones. But what choice did she have? Tell me what to do, she said firmly. Tom smiled, relieved. First, I need you to tell me exactly how your bodies work. The glowing. Is it just your skin, or is it deeper? As Ella explained bright folk biology, Tom adjusted the suit designs. He learned that their glow was tied to their core body temperature, that they needed more heat than humans, and that their skin could absorb light for energy in emergencies. I'm sending over 2 suits now, Tom said after making the modifications. They'll come through the small airlock on your port side. Ella watched as 2 strange-looking suits floated through their airlock. They were bulky and seemed impossibly rigid compared to the flowing designs her people preferred. But she could see the care that had gone into modifying them. Extra heating elements had been added, and the interior was lined with soft light panels. The larger suit is for you, Tom explained. I've adjusted the smaller one to maintain a higher temperature for Luna. The lights inside should help give you both energy. As Ella examined the suits, Tom continued talking, keeping his voice calm and friendly. He told her about Earth, about his own family back home, about the stars he'd explored. His words helped distract Luna, who had opened her eyes and was listening with weak interest. You have children too? Luna asked suddenly, her voice barely a whisper. Tom's voice softened. A daughter, just a little older than you. She loves to hear about the stars I visit. Luna's glow brightened just slightly. What's her favorite star? Alpha Centauri, Tom replied, smiling at the memory. She says it twinkles the prettiest. While they talked, Ella worked to get Luna into the smaller suit. It was awkward and heavy, but the moment it activated, warm light filled the inside. Luna's glow strengthened noticeably as the heat and light energized her depleted body. It's warm, Luna said, sounding stronger already. And pretty, like the light gardens. Ella felt tears in her eyes as she saw color returning to her daughter's skin. She quickly put on her own suit, surprised at how comfortable it felt despite its strange design. The suits are working, she told Tom, her voice thick with emotion. You saved her life already. We're not done yet, Tom replied gently. The hard part comes next. We'll need to bring you across to our ship. Are you ready? Ella looked at her daughter, now floating in the human-made suit that glowed almost as brightly as she once had. Then she looked at their failing ship, the place that had almost become their tomb. Finally, she looked at the horizon, with its strange design and the even stranger being who had shown them such kindness. Yes, she said firmly. We're ready. Through the viewport, she saw Tom nod. The rescue was far from over, but for the first time since being abandoned by their fleet, Ella felt real hope. Sometimes, she realized, salvation comes in the most unexpected forms. Behind her, Luna watched the stars with renewed interest, her suit glowing steadily in the darkness of their dying ship, while ahead of them, the horizon waited to welcome them to safety. The space between the 2 ships looked impossibly wide to Ella as she peered through her suit's visor. Though it was only about 50 meters, in space that small distance could mean life or death. Luna floated beside her in the airlock, her modified suit glowing softly from the inside. Remember the plan. Tom's steady voice came through their suit radios. "I'll come across first with the safety line. Then we'll bring Luna over, and finally Ella. The Horizon's artificial gravity is on, so be ready for that when you enter our airlock." Ella watched as Tom emerged from his ship's airlock. His white spacesuit looked tiny against the black void of space. He moved with practiced ease, using small jets on his suit to guide himself toward their ship. "Is that really what humans look like in space?" Luna asked, her voice stronger now thanks to the warm suit. "Like a puffy white star." Tom chuckled over the radio. "Wait until you see what we look like without the suits. Though I have to say, your glowing is much prettier than anything we humans can do." As he reached their airlock, a piece of debris from their failing ship broke loose nearby. Ella's skin flashed bright with fear inside her suit, but Tom calmly adjusted his course to avoid it. "Your ship is breaking down faster than we expected," he said, attaching the safety line to their airlock. "We need to move quickly. Luna, you'll go first with me. Ella, stay connected to your ship's airlock until we come back for you." Ella pulled Luna into a tight hug, their suits bumping awkwardly. "Be brave, little star." Luna nodded, her glow pulsing with a mix of fear and excitement, like in the stories of the first space explorers. "Exactly like that," Tom said, taking her small hand. "Now hold on to me tight." Think of it as a space dance. With careful movements, Tom guided Luna out of the airlock. Ella watched, her heart pounding, as her daughter floated in space for the first time. Luna's suit glowed brighter with wonder as she looked at the stars all around her. They were halfway to the horizon when another, larger piece of the dying ship broke away. It tumbled toward them, spinning dangerously in the zero gravity. "Hold on," Tom shouted, pulling Luna close. He fired his suit's thrusters at full power, trying to move them out of the debris's path. The piece missed them by meters, but its passage sent ripples of force through their safety line. "Mother!" Luna cried out as she saw more pieces of their old ship starting to break apart. "Keep going," Ella shouted. "Don't stop." Tom didn't waste any time. With Luna held tightly against him, he pushed toward the Horizon's airlock. The moment they were inside, the artificial gravity activated, and Luna let out a surprised squeak as her feet touched the floor for the first time in days. "Stay here," Tom told her, already turning back. "I'm getting your mother." But when he looked out the airlock, his heart stopped. The dying ship was breaking apart faster now, pieces of its beautiful curved hull peeling away like petals from a flower. Ella was still attached to the airlock, surrounded by spinning debris. "Ella," he called through the radio, "you need to disconnect now. Jump toward me." Ella looked at the disintegrating ship around her, then at the safety line that stretched through the debris field to the horizon. Fear made her glow pulse rapidly, but the sight of Luna safely in the other ship gave her courage. She unclipped from her ship's airlock and pushed off hard, just as a large section of hull tore away behind her. Tom was already moving toward her, dodging debris as he came. They met in the middle of the safety line, Tom grabbing her suit's harness just as a piece of debris sliced through the line behind them. "Hold on," he yelled, firing his thrusters at maximum power. More debris from the dying ship was falling around them now, like a deadly rain in space. Through her visor, Ella could see Luna watching from the Horizon's airlock, her small form glowing bright with fear and hope. The final distance seemed to stretch forever as Tom guided them through the field of floating debris, using his body to shield Ella from the worst of it. The Horizon's airlock grew larger in their view, a bright doorway to safety, while behind them, the ship that had been Ella and Luna's home for so long finally fell apart in the silence of space. The moment they tumbled into the Horizon's airlock, artificial gravity pulled them down hard. Warning lights flashed red as the outer doors sealed shut behind them. Tom's suit was damaged, small cracks spiderwebbing across his helmet's visor from where debris had struck him during the rescue. "Mother." Luna rushed forward as Ella struggled to stand in the strange pull of gravity. The inner airlock door opened, and Tom's medical officer rushed in with emergency equipment. "Get them to medical bay," Tom ordered, his voice strained. He tried to stand but stumbled, holding his side where a particularly large piece of debris had hit him. His suit was dented badly there, and warning indicators flashed across its display. The medical officer helped Ella and Luna remove their modified suits. Their skin glowed with swirling patterns of fear, exhaustion, and worry. But as soon as Ella saw Tom's condition, her glow shifted to a deep blue of concern. "You're hurt," she said, moving to help him despite her own weakness. "Captain," the ship's AI announced urgently, "your suit's damage report indicates 3 broken ribs and a punctured suit seal. Immediate medical attention is required." Luna watched with wide eyes as they helped Tom remove his helmet. It was her first time seeing the human face up close. His skin was strange and colorless to her eyes, but his smile was warm and kind despite his pain. "Worth it," Tom said through gritted teeth as the medical officer helped him out of the damaged suit. "Your ship exploded completely just seconds after we made it inside. A few broken ribs is a small price to pay." They moved to the medical bay, where the officer had prepared 3 beds, 2 with special heating elements for the bright folk, and 1 for Tom. Luna's glow had strengthened considerably since being in the modified suit, but she still needed treatment for her earlier exposure to the cold. As the medical officer worked, Luna couldn't stop watching Tom. "Does it hurt very badly?" she asked quietly. Tom tried to smile reassuringly, but winced instead. "I've had worse scrapes exploring space, though usually not from catching falling starships." Ella's skin rippled with emotions as she watched the human who had risked his life to save them. In her culture, such a sacrifice created a deep bond of obligation. But this went beyond cultural duty. He had willingly put himself in danger for complete strangers of a different species. Suddenly, Tom's breathing became labored. The medical officer rushed to check his readings. "Captain, one of the broken ribs has shifted. It's pressing against your lung." "That's," Tom gasped, "inconvenient." Luna's glow pulsed with fear. "Mother, do something. He saved us. We have to help him." Ella moved to Tom's bedside, her mind racing. "Your people don't generate light and heat like we do," she said quickly to the medical officer. "But we can share ours. It's something we do for our sick and injured." Without waiting for permission, she placed her hands gently on Tom's injured side. Her skin began to glow brighter, the light seeming to sink into his body. Luna joined her, adding her own gentle glow. The medical officer watched in amazement as his readings began to stabilize. The bright folk's natural energy seemed to be helping Tom's body cope with the trauma, giving him strength to keep breathing until the automated medical systems could begin repairs. "That's remarkable," Tom whispered, his breathing easier now. "It feels like sunshine." "It's how we heal our own," Ella explained softly. "We can share our energy with others. It's the least we can do after what you risked for us." Luna's small hand found Tom's and squeezed it. "You were very brave," she said solemnly, "like the heroes in old stories." Tom managed a small laugh, then winced again. "Well, I couldn't let anything happen to my first alien friends, could I?" As the medical bay's lights dimmed for healing cycle, the room was lit mainly by the gentle glow of mother and daughter as they helped heal their rescuer. Their light pulsed in sync, creating patterns that told a story of gratitude, friendship, and hope. Outside the medical bay's window, the last pieces of their old ship drifted past like falling stars. But neither Ella nor Luna felt sad watching them go. They had found something far more precious than a ship. They had found proof that kindness knows no species, and that heroes can come in the most unexpected forms. 5 years had passed since that fateful rescue in deep space. The grand meeting hall of the Earth Brightfolk Cultural Center glowed with soft lights, both from the traditional human fixtures above and from the hundreds of Brightfolk gathered below. Their skin created waves of color that rippled through the crowd as they waited for the ceremony to begin. Luna, now a teenager, stood at the podium. Her glow was strong and confident, shifting between shades of purple and gold as she prepared to speak. In the front row, Ella watched her daughter with pride, her own skin glowing warmly. Beside her sat Tom, his dress uniform decorated with the medals he'd received for that long-ago rescue. 5 years ago, Luna began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. I thought I was going to die in a failing ship, far from any home. She paused, looking at the mixed audience of humans and bright folk. Instead, I learned that home isn't always where you're born, and family isn't always who you look like. The crowd's attention was fixed on her. Many knew her story. She and her mother had become famous as the first bright folk to live among humans. Their rescue had opened the door for peaceful contact between the two species. When Captain Tom Reed found our distress signal, he didn't know what we looked like. He didn't know if we were friendly. He only knew that someone needed help. Luna's glow brightened with emotion. That's humanity's greatest strength, the ability to care about strangers, to risk everything for someone different from themselves. In the audience, Tom smiled, remembering the scared little girl whose suit he had modified with light panels. Now she stood tall, her natural glow far outshining any artificial light he could have made. Today, as I become the first official ambassador between our peoples, I want to share something we've learned. Luna raised her hands, and the bright folk in the audience raised theirs in response. Together, their glow created a beautiful aurora of colors that filled the hall. Humans taught us that light comes in many forms. Yes, we bright folk can glow with our bodies, but humans glow with their hearts. They shine through their actions, their courage, and their kindness. Ella reached over and squeezed Tom's hand. Over the years, he had become like family to them. He had helped them adjust to life on Earth, had introduced them to his daughter, who was now Luna's best friend, and had supported their efforts to build bridges between their peoples. The war that forced us to flee our home was about resources, about fear of not having enough. Luna continued, but Earth showed us a different way. They shared their world with us, taught us that there is always enough room for kindness, always enough space for hope. She gestured to the back of the hall, where a large screen showed images of the new joint colony being built. Humans and bright folk worked together there, combining their technologies and cultures. The bright folk's natural ability to generate light and heat had revolutionized human space travel, while human innovation had helped the bright folk create new ways to explore the stars. 5 years ago, one human made a choice to help 2 scared aliens. Today, that choice has grown into a friendship between worlds. Luna's glow pulsed with joy. And this is just the beginning. As applause filled the hall, Luna looked at her mother and Tom. She remembered the frightened child she had been, huddled in a dying ship. She remembered the strange human in his puffy white suit who had risked everything to save them. Most of all, she remembered the lesson she had learned, that true heroes aren't defined by how they look or where they come from, but by what they choose to do for others. The ceremony ended with a traditional bright folk light dance, but this time humans joined in, holding small glowing crystals that the bright folk had helped them create. The hall filled with light from 2 species moving as one, their shared glow reaching up toward the stars that had once seemed so cold and empty, but now promised endless possibilities for both peoples. Outside, Earth's sun was setting, painting the sky in colors that reminded Ella of their old home. But as she watched Luna speaking with a group of young humans and bright folk, their glows mixing together in patterns of friendship, she knew they had found something better than what they had lost. They had found a future built on the best of both worlds.